Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the recap videos. Today on the menu will be the most anticipated game of round 9 and perhaps the whole tournament. Two super GMs in top form. The leader of the tournament, Jan Nepo against Fabiano Caruana, who is currently trailing by a point behind before this game that I'm going to analyze now. Caruana in the white trunks, Nepo in the black, and so the mandatory Petrov was on the board, and we quickly headed into this main variation. And here I will have to stop for a little bit of a break, and I wouldn't call it an explanation because I don't really know what I'm about to tell you, but it's something that I heard of and makes sense to me, and that is the following. Caruana, he played knight h4, which is definitely not the best move in this position, and I guarantee you he knew that. So why did he play it? Rumor has it, and this has been published recently in various media outlets, that Nepo's preparation, even before the World Championship final against Maggie, was supported by a Russian supercomputer. Now, just to be clear on this one, when we say a supercomputer, obviously we talk about a computer with immense processing power. So I'm assuming here a computer with a remarkably powerful processor and some insane amount of memory. What that allows a computer to do is that if you run the exact same software on it, it's likely going to work better, find deeper concepts. It just functions altogether better. So I don't know how many of Nepo's rivals responded to this rumor in the same fashion, but actually I believe Peter Heine also indicated in one of his tweets that even in their preparation with Magnus, they actually were looking for positions that were not necessarily best by the engine's measure, but definitely playable. A, to get Nepo out of his book/computer, and 2, to still give themselves a chance to play for a different result than a draw. Or, depending on colors, of course, but mostly with the white pieces, you would want to play for a win. And so I think this could be the reason why Caruana chose this opening continuation, which, as I said, is suboptimal, but that's precisely the point, because that would not be on the radar of the supercomputer that would be mostly fine-tuned to deal with the best moves. Excuse me. And from here on out, the whole entire rest of the opening and the early middle game actually tells a very interesting story, and that is Nepo out of book, we assume, Caruana playing what he may or may not have prepared, but definitely outplaying Nepo in the next 6 to 8 moves. Beautiful stuff, watch. So bishop e7, queen c2, knight a6. We are out of book. Like, no games were played like this at all, ever. At least on Masters level, which is quite remarkable, by the way, because we are only on move 12. a3 was to stop knight b4, and f5. At first sight, the black position is really nice and active. The development has been completed, and so on and so forth. However, the problem is that with f5, black created a major hole on e5. The e file is definitely a hunting ground for white. The knight on e4 is in a peculiar situation because whilst it looks absolutely super powerful, it can easily be kicked. And so these factors make this position a lot more complex to evaluate than I think it may, come across as like, oh yeah, black is doing great already. Not quite yet. It's dead even, but no more. CD, knight c3, rook c8, f3. All of this is still best moves by both sides. And after bishop e7, g3, knight d6 is actually a mistake. And it turns out that an absolutely marvelous positional piece sacrifice with bishop f6 is the move that holds equality for black. And after fe, bishop a6, bishop d4 check, trade, and take back a6, and the two pawns secure enough counterplay for the piece deficit. Now, the reason why it is so immensely difficult, in my opinion, to calculate, but more importantly, to evaluate this correctly, because this position, it's basically just a tiny, tiny difference between this being equal or this being dead lost, like hopelessly dead lost for black. And that difference is simply that that neither knights can really make it to d4. And that's it. Because if I had this position, for argument's sake, for something like this, all over red rover. Like black is not even close to having the faintest hope. You can just resign. And this is a fairly simplistic positional operation called blockade. And to judge it correctly, that white, with white to move, by the way, will not have time to achieve that, is a big ask when your starting point to calculate this is here. That's rough. And yes, that's why they are 2780, so that they can calculate stuff like that. But still, it's a big ask. At the same time, also note that Fabi lost 6 minutes on his clock. Nepo is down to almost an hour. So he's 40 minutes behind on the clock, which last time it happened to him was when he was 12. Right? So it's like unheard of. And so very clearly here he's in an unfamiliar position, in an unfamiliar situation, significantly down on the clock. That's a lot of pressure on the leader. So far, Fabi has done a marvelous job. But unfortunately for him, after 96, he failed to deliver the goods. Played Queen A4. Queen A2 was another way, when we have this beautiful tactic. And after knight takes, note that bishop takes, hangs the other bishop. Knight takes, rook d8. The engine evaluates this only as +1. Not even, 0.9. And that's quite weird, because white has got a pawn up, white is a pawn up, and has the 2 bishops. That's a lot of stuff. I don't know, I would love to be white here, but according to the engine, it's not necessarily winning. Caruana instead went Queen A4, which is the engine's favorite move. And again, this position is so strange, because at first sight you would think that this endgame is not really much better for white. We will win this, we will lose this. Symmetrical stories. But, excuse me. But the big difference is that this d6 knight is incredibly loose and a silly piece that will be kicked with a tempo, and it doesn't have good squares to go to. Just trouble. Watch. Takes. By the way, 200 Rosen points for the number of pieces piled up on the same file. I reckon that's why Fabi went for this. King g2. Perfect play so far for Fabi. Bishop f4, outstanding. Knight c5, a very clever counterpunch tactically. If we take this, they take this. If we then take that, they take this. And it's all good. So, Fabi goes check. King f7. And here, he missed a sensational opportunity to come out on top. And boy, this would have been so nice. Bishop f1. It's a difficult move to find. But boy, would it have been sensational. Check this out. Knight c8. Bishop check. Bishop e6. And rook takes e6. What a move. Absolutely awesome stuff. And now after knight takes, knight hf5. No matter what black does, white is going to end up on top. By far the best variation is king f6, knight check, king takes, and bishop d3, checkmate. Wow! Out of nowhere comes a most amazing mid-board checkmate. Equally cool in my opinion here is rook takes e7. Oh, knight takes e7, let's start with that one. Knight d4, and we are going to win e6 as well. Game over. And rook takes e7 is also playable when, again, don't take the rook, nay, take the bishop, and then we will take the knight after piling up on it with full power. And white is going to win, again, significant amount of material. And the heartbreaker was that missing this one opportunity with bishop f1 and instead playing bishop takes f5 immediately ended the game. Like, just as if it was just like they turned off the light. Nah, that's not good enough. See ya. And that's what happened. From here on out, Nepo played perfectly well. Took, and instantly we ended up in a materially equal endgame. Essentially, the players could have agreed to draw here, except the rules don't allow it. It's only move 28. But the rest requires absolutely zilch commentary, and they're just playing moves so they get to 40, so that they can shake hands, which ended with this otherwise quite pretty perpetual check. So it was a marvelous fight, and really it's super easy to just look at a game like this and go like, a boring draw again. Nah, not at all, not even close. This is, again, was an absolutely sensationally built up game by Fabi, and he missed on a great opportunity, which was obviously a bummer, even if you are not a Fabiano fan, but just for the sake of what a game it could have been. So yeah, I really found this game very entertaining. In fact, the very reason why it's now on the recap, because it is a fantastic, super exciting game despite the outcome. And yeah, so the 1 point difference remains between these two super GMs. And of course, as we are approaching the end of the tournament, now a new question is rearing its slightly ugly head, and that is that if Nepo wins, and if Magnus doesn't play, although that's the part where I'm not exactly excited, but you know, this is what it is, what's gonna happen? Could it be that actually we are going to find 2 qualifiers from this tournament, and the winner is going to play against the second for the World Championship title? Or will Magnus back down and not own his words and defend his title for the upteenth time? I suppose, among many others, that question will be decided in the next 4 rounds, so stay with me. I'm going to cover those rounds as well. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, to sub, to comment, and to super like if you can. I appreciate your support, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.